Hello, my name is Amber Zhang. Welcome to 8th grade English Language Arts. Today we're going to be focusing on finding resiliency in digital poetry, what it means for us to be Americans. And this is Leia. She's going to be joining us today for the lesson. I'm so glad you could all be here today. This is a synchronous lesson that's going to be incorporating Google Meet. We're going to be using Google Docs, and we're going to be exploring how to use Canva as well as working on our digital citizenship. And then we're going to use these tools to reflect our own American identity through poetry. We're also going to take a moment to look at our standards today. So we have our standards for Alabama ELA standards. Here's our poetry standards as well as our writing and our digital literacy standards. We also have our ISTE standards, empowered learner. We're going to focus on being a good digital citizen, what it means to be safe and ethical and legal, of course. Our knowledge as a constructor and how we can be a creative communicator. And I think using this will help students to become better online learners as well as apply English language arts standards. So let's take a look at these learning goals and break them down. I can analyze how different poets express identity and resilience. I can engage in a digital discussion about American identity through poetry. So we're going to look at digital poems today, and we're going to explore what it means to be an American, because like poetry and like digital citizenship, it's very complex, so I thought the three would marry very well together. The students are going to learn how to use digital tools responsibly. So like Mr. Rogers says, you have to be a good neighbor. They need to learn how to communicate effectively online. They need to learn how to be respectful of each other's opinions. And they need to learn how to work creatively. So that's what we're going to focus on doing. Also, students should begin exploring the cultural and historical background of the poets because, like Ms. Zhang said earlier, it's a very complex thing, like digital literacy and like poetry. So before we start, let's look at some of the rules of the terrain about digital safety and ethics. We're going to explore like the three big things that we're going to take from this lesson today. So obviously the first one is going to be safety. You should not share your personal information with anyone online. That's including your name, your address, your school, anything that you shouldn't share anything with strangers online. You should not meet up with anyone in real life. You shouldn't talk to people online that you don't know, that isn't someone from your school or your family or someone you trust. Obviously, we need to work on using antiviral software and keeping devices updated. We usually will take a moment to update those Google Chromebooks. Obviously, we've done that before in the past, so just making sure when Ms. Zhang shows you how to update the Chromebook that you're keeping that updated. We need to focus on our legal use today. As Ms. Zhang told you in earlier lessons, poems and games and videos, they all need to have credit. It's plagiarism if you don't give it to that writer or creator of the content. So don't copy or download music, movies, or games without permission. Make sure you always give credit when you're using someone else's work. We worked on this before, making sure we're citing the author. And if it's been a minute since we've looked at that, don't worry, Ms. Zhang will show you how to do those things again today. And that includes pictures that you get off the internet, certain information. You have to cite where everything came from and make sure you're paraphrasing, or if you use a direct quote, that you make sure you put the author's name correctly. Also, let's make sure we're following school rules and website rules. The code of conduct is there for a reason, and Ms. Zhang cannot unblock websites that are meant to be blocked by the school because they have them blocked for a reason, because they're not safe for Chromebooks or they're not safe for your viewing. So it's just not up for discussion, and you don't need to worry because Ms. Zhang has already linked all of the poems today, so they should be easy to find within the slides. And if you have an issue accessing those, please let me know. Ethical use will be our third category, so be honest and respectful online. Make sure if someone is sharing their opinion that you're not cutting them down, that you're honestly listening and trying to be a good digital citizen. Don't cyberbully or spread other rumors about people. Only post things that you would show to grandma or mom or teacher. Do not post things that you wouldn't be proud to show someone that you care about, that you value their opinion, like your mom or your grandma or your dad. Just make sure that you're keeping everything clean on the internet. Next, before we begin, we're going to take a look at if you are looking at the internet and you see that your Wi-Fi is not working or there is a lag of some sorts, please make sure you know how to use the hand raise feature that we looked at earlier within Google Teams, and also make sure that you let Ms. Sang know. That way I can fix it before we start the lesson. I also keep downloads and copies in PDF, so if I didn't send you one prior to this lesson, please let me know. We'll talk a little bit about tech management and student responsibility. So we've reviewed norms at the start, so please make sure that we are being respectful. We are inside of our Google Docs like we're supposed to be. Make sure that when you are working within the groups that you are honoring your role in doing what is assigned to you, making sure that you're staying on task and holding each other accountable, because that's part of being a good digital citizen, is learning to work with each other. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start this lesson today. So today you're going to be looking at different lenses or different identities, just like we're different people on the internet. You're going to be looking at some different poets that identify differently as Americans. And then we're going to be looking at a poem at the end, and we're going to fashion our own poem after these poets and what it means for us to be Americans and what that means to our identity. So let's take a look today at Miss Maya Angelou. She is one of Miss Sang's favorite writers. She is very phenomenal. We're going to look at Still I Rise,